Good evening, everyone. We are here for our regular scheduled November committee meetings. Commissioners, if you will, please turn on your mics, and we will address the chairs. We get started. There's a couple of announcements. We can tend to those at the end of the meeting. So to start with, we'll turn the floor over to Chairman Horner of the Justice Center Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If there's anyone wishing to address the committee, may do so at this time. Seeing none, there's no old business, new business. Justice Center project update. Tony Pettit, Burwell Construction.
Got to catch my breath. I ran up the steps. Thank you. No change orders tonight.
Praise God.
You feel okay?
I like coming to meetings a lot better without them. Yes. The current contract through change order number 15 is $94,310,547.16. As you recall, that includes upfitting the shell spaces we had in the original job to a courthouse and a couple other workrooms. With that amount, billed through October is $64,424,761.16, which makes it 69% complete, roundabout. However, we still got stored materials. You know, we're trying to fight off inflation and get materials in early and all that. So we still have $7,662,500 worth of stored materials in that building that's not placed in the job. And which means if you take that out, our work complete is 60.9% complete. And we're on schedule right now to be substantially complete, which is it's a legal term, but substantially complete July 31st, 2024. And that's when substantially complete means when the owner, us, can use the building for its intended purpose. That's how they'll still be tweaking stuff, and we'll be trying to move in with FF&E and certifying the jail and stuff like that, but the contractor is virtually complete at that point. From the pictures, you can see that the Justice Center out front is coming along. It's being decked, and the steel erection is almost complete now. That's the pop-up at the front of the building. We'll just keep cycling through these. Do I do that? By the time we get done, I'll get used to doing this. Okay, so there's the Justice Center shown in the foreground. That's the pop-up at the main entrance. Back in the back, you'll see this. It's kind of a white wall and a dark wall because of the shadow. That's called the Sally Port. That's when actually the occupants come in and are transported back in, and they go through back into the booking and intake. Going on inside is still the same conduit and ductwork, and process piping is being installed throughout the tower. They're scheduled to start pouring some floors, have the floors poured out on the Justice Center by Thanksgiving. Contractors telling me that. They had everybody else, if you're a farmer, you haven't liked the drought. Contractors love the drought. So they're making good progress there. I can tell you about an upcoming change order, and we've talked about it a couple of 3 times briefly, and I haven't got numbers on it yet, but we got a proposal out to a couple of specialty contractors to fix some subsurface areas where we called it a dropout, and we're going to do grout compaction and capping of that area. It's about 21 grout piles, and then cap it. And we got proposals on that. Hopefully I can bring that to you by next month, that proposals, to let you look at that. Other things that will be in an upcoming change order is just something we've requested that's perhaps make it better. So we're trying to make a janitor's closet. It's not much bigger out in the Justice Center. We're trying to reconfigure a couple of electrical things for the court reporting and making another office for a visiting judge. So that's things that we're working on as far as documentation and getting pricing on that. We'll present that soon. And that's my report, unless you got questions.
Oh.
Ma'am.
Thank you. So the 21 grout piles, are those the unexpected?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's not micropiles, it's just grout compaction. We had a dropout at a footing, and the soil scientists, the guys that work directly for Hamblen County, we tried filling it with what we call flowable fill concrete, which is a little ring concrete. We did that, but it came back. So in the effort to make sure we catch what we hold, this is outside the building, but we don't want a foundation falling away or driveways or stuff like this. So that's what that is.
okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pettit, quick question. Not asking that you provide any confidential information. I want to know if you've seen the memo prepared by the judge, by the jail contract attorney. It was 6 to 7 months ago. I know the mayor, Britton, and commissioners, Warner and Richardson saw it, and others, and when they met Weatherford and Knoxville. My question is, have you seen it?
I have. I used it as a tool to negotiate with the contractor.
Was it effective?
Yes, it was.
Can I ask an additional question?
Okay.
Money-wise, how did it affect us?
It's leverage. So everything's a negotiation in this. The contractor spent we've been through this, but exorbitant amount of time trying to get these micropiles in. And it was a matter of not only the micropiles, it's contract language in there that said you had to, if it was materially changed, the contractor could come back and ask for time. And that's what they did. And they asked for some time. They also, under that clause in the contract, in which the attorney kind of analyzed all the contracts and stuff, they also asked for extended general conditions, which are very expensive. Because now you're paying for a project manager, their trucks, their phones, the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, just a list of personnel that's on this $95 million job. And they were requesting the time, but we were able to negotiate. And it started out, my numbers are going to be a little fuzzy, but my first knee-jerk reaction when we got it was $500,000. Then we kind of split some micropiles, legitimate work out of it, but it still was up in the $380,000. And then we got that negotiated in either change order 13 or 14. So that came down, I think, less than $100,000, if I recall that. I got it right here.
That's right.
I hadn't got it in my head, but it was effective.
Thank you for your response.
Sure.
It's much appreciated, sir.
Sure.
Back to the dropout. Commissioner Hahn and I were discussing something he'd learned earlier. This fill, you've got soil scientists on it, but is it a bad thing to fill it in with total concrete? That's what we're understanding. We've heard that. Is that?
What you did is you have a throat that all the surface water goes into, and it finds all these crevices. And I don't know how there's any crevices left with all the grout we pumped into the ground, but it found one. And then what we try to do is choke it off with what we call flowable fill. It's a real lean concrete, and we choked it off per the instructions of and I call them soil scientists, they're actually soil engineers, and per their instructions, we filled it up. It did reoccur in a heavy rain again, and we said, okay, let's make sure we can just fix it for sure. And actually, some of these grout piles will have to be drilled through existing footings, and basically you're building a structural column down to create friction in this stuff, and then you grout the top of it to keep other water from intruding and eroding that away. So,
Right.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Y'all have a plan, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's out for bids. We have a meeting Thursday. We'll probably hear before the contractor back on that.
Thank you.
Anyone
Is that
else?
surface water that's causing all this?
No, it's just a whole bunch of rain happened at once. You know, we've had a drought since August. Sometime right at the second week of August is when we had a lot of rain at once. And then it caused this dropout. All right? We called up the contractor called up the soils engineers, soil scientists, said, hey, look at this. They're by there every day, or about, it's slowed down now, but they were by there quite a bit. So they came by and gave us a recommendation and said, fill it full of concrete, flowable fill, which is a real lean concrete that's allowed to ooze everywhere. And then we had another rain event toward the end of August. We thought we had it. Toward the end of August, we had another rain event, and it kind of opened back up again. And we said, we probably need to do something different. And the soil scientist said, yes, you do. We need to do this. And we've asked them to prepare, the county, asked them to prepare a plan. And they've got that for a proposal out to the contractor who's getting it. We've asked him to get at least 2 prices for response. So it's caused by karst geology and voids in the subsurface, and the water intrusion exposes that weakness.
Once you get it finished, there shouldn't be any surface water causing any problem then.
Yes. Shouldn't be. But you've got voids in there somewhere, and this is outside the building. Your building is sitting on micropiles.
Yeah.
This is kind of outside the building, so we don't want to retaining wall and tip away on us. Yes, ma'am.
So in following with that question, so once you do that and the guys say, okay, you did exactly like, okay. And then 2 years from now, we get a glitch, it's on them.
Well, that's a legal question, and I'm not
Yes,
a
sir.
legal guy, but
Okay.
we're doing to the best of engineering practices the best thing for the project right now. We're not thinking short term or anything like that. We're trying to address it and fix it solid to
Right
where.
now.
Yeah, and again, it's like Commissioner Naismith said,
Mm-hmm.
you know, once you get the thing finished, you get the water turned away from it, that helps too. So,
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Just wanted to say that this is a common
Oh.
problem that we deal with in this area.
in East
Been doing this a
Tennessee,
long time.
in East
I've been
Tennessee,
doing
it's
this a long
not
time.
unusual. I've hit it
So it's
more
not
times.
something
Yeah.
that's just particular to us. It's all over this area.
True.
Okay.
I've seen it too many times.
We've both done this a long time. So,
I'd like to have a follow-up question, please. You talked about the retaining wall that Commissioner Howell asked about. Is there something in particular that would make that susceptible to, I thought you said leaning, and if I misunderstood you, I apologize.
I did say leaning, but I meant we're doing this to prevent anything to do that. So that's how come we're going to the subsurface where all this bearing of weight is on this retaining wall footing, and we're going down below it and addressing the voids where the dropout, where the water goes, trying to address them back up with these grout piles.
So if I,
Then we'll have a grout compaction on top.
excuse me, so if I understand, you're reinforcing everything to handle the situation?
Yes, and we'll
Okay,
bring
thank
those
you.
proposals, we haven't designed by an engineer. We'll bring those proposals back to you when the contractor and I get through analyzing.
Voids can show up at any time, can't they?
Yes. Welcome to East Tennessee.
Amen.
Anyone else?
Asphalt it and turn all the water down to Turkey Creek.
There's not. Thank you, Mr. Pettit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Horner of the Justice Center Public Safety Committee. We'll now move into recognize Chairman Hahn of the Finance Committee.
Call the Finance Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Move on. We have our expenditure reports and our monthly checks for October. I encourage each of you to take a look at those. We have no old business. Under new business, 5A, State Route 160 intersection with MLK Junior Parkway. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'll, in your packet, there's 3 or 4 pages about this topic in there. And the first is a memo from me. And when the school board decided to locate the new elementary school on Martin Luther King Boulevard, we being the folks involved with the Lakeway Transportation Planning Organization, which are the county, the city, the state of Tennessee, Jefferson County, White Pine, that's all part of the, and now Bean Station, it's all part of the Regional Transportation Planning Organization. We began talking about the impact that the new school will have on the traffic at the intersection of Martin Luther King Boulevard and State Route 160. And that is one of the and then we started having those conversations. In the meantime, we were having a corridor study done throughout the whole 160 route from Talbot all the way to Interstate 81. So we got the study back and the recommendations, and we as a group, the Transportation Planning Organization, prioritized and notified TDOT that we prioritized the intersection of Martin Luther King and State Route 160 as whatever improvements that are recommended for that interchange, that be the first one done because of the impact that the school system will have on that intersection. One of the things that the study focused on was safety, of course, was the main thing, and then traffic flow. But one of the main themes that the study focused on was eliminating left turns across the traffic. So like from Martin Luther King turning left onto 160 going, what would that be,
South.
East?
South.
Or
South.
So to eliminate those turns and everything go all right turns or all that's permitted. So in one of the emphasis also that there would be no traffic lights on 160. And so so to get that done, no traffic lights and eliminate the left turns, then what the study recommended was a J turn for that intersection. And so what that means is, it's going to be hard to see on this. It's not very good. I think you can probably see it easier on your screens in front of you, but I think
It's Martin Luther there, isn't it?
right there.
Yes.
There's Martin Luther King Boulevard right here. Here's 160. So what the recommendation is that all traffic, there's no more traffic turning left onto 160. Everything turns right. And then you come down here and you make a U-turn to go the other direction using this J-turn. And there's 2 J-turns on the far west end of the highway. So that's what we're talking about. And so there would be a J-turn right here. And so that's the recommendation of the study. TDOT is looking at that, and they're tweaking it a little bit, and they're doing it in conjunction with Sulphur Springs Road. And that's the road that traffic turns off of 160 to go to West High School. So we're looking at improvements in those 2 intersections together because of the school traffic. So what TDOT is doing is one of the long-term answers. One of the long-term answers is a connector road between Martin Luther King and Sulphur Springs Road, a connector road here to reduce the traffic that would be on one route or the other. And so, but that is a high-dollar, long-term answer, which requires right-of-way acquisition, it's a 10-year answer. It'll take 10 to 15 years to get that done. What we're talking about as far as eliminating the left turn, going to the J turn, is something that we are pushing TDOT to do to get it done. If not by the time the school opens, which is next fall, is to do it within the first year that the school is open. So with all that being said, what's going on now is communication with TDOT about the work and the cost involved in it. They're estimating that work would cost about $1.7 million. TDOT Region 1, which is the East Tennessee region, does not have the pot of money that kind of improvement would come out of. That money would come out of Nashville, out of TDOT Nashville. They apply for the money and request it. Now, it's a competitive type situation, and what they have done is they've asked us as a local group to commit to a match, that the locals would have a buy-in to this project, and that would give us more points in the evaluation of the project in Nashville, and would increase our chances of being funded. So what's in your packet is a letter from it's a draft of a letter to TDOT from Mayor Chastity, myself, and Director Bunch, committing to a 20% match. It's $340,000. Half of it, the city of Morristown would put up half the money. We would put up a fourth, and the school system would put up a fourth. And that would take care of the 20% match. And so what I'm asking, now the money is, we would not have to put up the money or have the money available until next fiscal year, until 24-25, so it would be in the next budget. But what I'm asking you to do is commit to funding of $85,000 that we'll put in the budget for the match for this project. And you'll commit to it. We'll go ahead, and once these three bodies have committed to it, then we'll sign the letter, send it to TDOT, and Region 1 can put that in their proposal that they will be sending to Nashville for funding for this intersection.
Yes, go ahead.
The J-turns that are already out there are not fun. And this one, I mean, you're going to need a long runway getting out of school, make that turn, and you're going to need a long runway to get back in regular traffic. I mean, they thought of that, didn't they?
And TDOT's doing the specific work on it right now. As far as how long will those runways be, you know, how, where the cut across traffic will be. They're working on that right now, so that they'll submit that to Nashville with their proposal.
Because that's going to be a pile up right there. And, well, but they're working on it, aren't they? Yeah, okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion to put this on the floor?
Question.
Oh, yes.
I got a couple. I'm looking at Sulphur Springs. Coming out of West High School, you come out there and you turn to your right. You can't turn left. You've got to go down to the other Sulphur Springs Road and cut back. Okay. I understand that. How about the people coming out on Sulphur Springs Road? The way I see this, you can't turn left coming out of Sulphur Springs Road either.
Yeah, left is a problem.
No, you have to go all the way back up.
You're right. You're right. They're eliminating all the left turn.
But you're gonna have people making a U-turn right there at Sulphur Springs where people are trying to come out from the school.
Possibly.
And you're going to have a wreck.
That's, you don't have a J-turn in there, do you? There's not one there, is there? I think your other J-turn is down on Martin Luther Boulevard, down on 160,
Yeah.
across the bridges. From where you're looking about putting that J-turn, you could go on down about 3/4 of a mile and not have a J-turn, just have them turn on Valley Home Road and come back up the hill, half a mile further. Save your J-turns. Save $100-something million.
Mr. Richardson?
Full discrepancy, or full disclosure, I mean, I and a partner own from Sulphur Springs to Martin Luther King and 160 back for about 25 acres. I just want everybody to know that I'm going to vote my conscience on this. I have the right to abstain from voting, but I'm going to vote my conscience because I've been through there and seen the traffic, so I think that that was for full disclosure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming in the morning, 160, turning off on Sulphur Springs Road, from what I understand.
It always has been.
Yes.
Now, what's the ruling and the reason why we can't, I want to say how many deaths do we have to not have a light?
There's certain criteria, now that's the way I understand it. There's certain criteria in deaths, in accidents with injury are part of that calculation. And now in this quarter study, there was at the intersection of 160 and 25E, at those two intersections, they did meet the criteria for traffic signals at those. But this one did not. Specifically, I can't tell you why. I mean,
That's up there on where you're going up 160, gonna get off on 25 to go towards White Pine and go underneath the bridge, turn left like you going to Waller State and Walmart. Yeah, they need one there because if you're coming off of 25, you come from White Pine, get off of 25, you can turn right and come down 160. If you go straight, you sit there for 35 or 40 minutes before you can get out. You can't turn left to go towards Vinca. I feel all these things here that's coming up, all these J-turns and left-hand turn, right-hand turn, it's not gonna take the public very long to know if you go up Martin Luther Boulevard, you ain't gonna be able to get out. So we're gonna load Martin Luther Boulevard down with more traffic. And they don't wanna get off up at the Boys Club, they wanna go all the way up to North and South Cumberland and turn right. And come out South Cumberland and get back on 160.
And that may be true, but
I mean, they'll find different routes that's gonna.
But right now, we're talking about a
It won't take long
danger.
to do it either.
We're talking about a danger here. I was coming down through there 3-4 days ago, and I was traveling west or north or whatever it actually is, and got right there at Martin Luther King, and a Honda Odyssey was going to turn left to go south, and they came right across. And I mean, if I got a car beside me, I got to hit somebody. And, you know, I know that wasn't intentional, and I think what it comes down to more than anything is you try to make a left-hand turn out of Martin Luther, and it takes forever.
Yep.
We know that. And you get antsy, and you underestimate, undercompensate, and then the next thing you know, you've got a car stuck in your side, and somebody's hurt or killed. And I think any inconvenience out of that is overshadowed completely by what we have to go through, whether it be a traffic light or a J-turn or whatever. But making a left-hand turn out of Martin Luther is just absurd.
I can say with first-hand knowledge, because I was headed west on 160. Young lady was there. She was coming off MLK, going to turn left. As she went to turn, somebody on 160 ran into the turn lane. She bowed up right in front of me. There was no bodily harm to anybody. I was able to negate the majority but it was a traffic collision. She was cited for, but that is a dangerous place to make a left-hand turn.
Absolutely.
Because you've got too many things going on there and not enough visibility. And with it being a 55-mile-an-hour speed zone through there, traffic's moving faster than you need to. They need, if we're going to turn back east or back towards Inca, however you want to phrase it, because for some reason our state that is supposed to be even numbered roads are east and west and odd numbers are north and south, they've chose to name an even number road north and south there, so.
East and west.
Yes. But anyway, if you're gonna head back toward Inca, you need to have a better vantage point, and that's just dangerous.
Now, this is, again, the J-turn answer is the quickest, or the J-turn option is the quickest option to get it in place, to eliminate the left turn and go to the J-turn. Will get it done quicker. And it won't get done by the time the school opens, but it'll happen quicker than any other option that the study presented.
Putting up caution lights and putting the speed limit on that'll slow it through it a whole more than anything. State looked at that?
The study, I think the study looked at all of it, and they did not recommend that.
I don't see the judgment why they're saying you can go out at 25 and put a red light, but you can't put them there at Sulphur Springs and Martin Luther.
That doesn't make sense.
I think the data from the traffic accidents, from the fatalities, there's more fatalities at that intersection of 25 than at the other. There is one, I know, at MLK. I'm not sure about Sulphur Springs Road as far as a fatality.
Okay.
But that's the request, is a commitment to put in next year's budget $85,000 for our share of the match for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Britton. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Walker, second. Do we have any other discussion or questions? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Bobby, I'm not on that
Yes,
committee, I'm
yes,
sorry.
let's correct
on
that.
that
We've got a
committee.
motion from Thomas.
Thomas' motion. We need a second from the committee member.
Second.
A second. Mr. Harville? Do we need to revote it?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's vote it again. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 5B, budget amendments. I'll ask our finance director, Ms. Amanda Hill, step to the podium. 5BI, Fund 101, Property Assessor's Office, Reappraisal Program, $800.
The property assessor has asked to move the $800 from his reappraisal budget to the property assessor's budget to cover the purchase of new tires for their vehicle.
Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cutshaw, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, do I have any questions? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5B, 2, Fund 101, Sheriff's Department, $800.
The sheriff's department had some employees that were registered to attend the conference, and they've had some change in assignments, so now they're not going to attend the conference, and this budget amendment is to recognize the revenue and the increased expense line associated with the refund we received from the conference fees.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Long, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Richardson, do we have any discussion? We'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you get to 6, did we, I know this was in reoccurring. Can you let me know when I can ask a question about reoccurring, okay? Okay.
Okay. Kind of got me at a loss here.
Okay, you're on 6, and I was looking at something. It just was kind of okay, everybody look at your expenditures, but I had a question and I didn't know when to bring it in.
Well, this will be good. You go
This'll
ahead,
be
because
good.
we're done.
Okay. So when I was looking through on page 3, it said 91130 public safety projects. And the amount remaining in the budget is astronomical, and so I was kind of wondering about that.
What line item number was it? Fund?
91130 on page 3, Hamblen County Accounts and General Fund.
Public safety projects?
Yeah. Yep.
So in that line, if you look out to the side, there is $856,000 encumbered. So that's the cost of the cars that we're ordering for the SROs. And we have received that money in 800.
Is that page 3?
We are getting that money in from the city and from the school system as part of the interlocal agreement to fund the SRO program. The budget amendment just hasn't been done. So that's why you see that large amount that's more than the budget.
It's scary amount.
It is.
Yes,
But
okay.
it's just because the budget amendment hasn't been done to recognize the revenue. We have received the school's revenue already, but not the city's. So when we get them in, then a budget amendment will be done, and you'll see that go away.
That's
But
what
it's
I
where
meant.
the vehicles are.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Did that clarify that for you, Ms.
Yes,
Howe?
sir, it did. Thank you.
Very good.
Chairman Hahn?
Yes,
May I
ma'am.
ask a question?
Yes, you may.
How many cars did we buy for them, out of curiosity, for the SROs?
Eight.
Thank you, thank you.
How many?
Now, those won't be used by the SROs,
18.
correct? Are they going to use an older vehicle?
They don't have vehicles, period.
I'm sorry?
They don't have vehicles at this time, period.
Okay. But they will eventually.
There's some of them that has been around a while that had cars anyway, they've got those, but the new ones, we will replace those with patrol cars, the guys were answering calls.
That's-
And give them the older cars back.
Yeah, answered it. Thank you. Okay, everyone. We all clear? That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Hahn. We will now move into the Personnel Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Personnel Committee to order.
18 years.
Are there any visitors wishing to address this committee? Seeing none. Old business, we have none. New business, we have the approval of education pay submissions. We have one person. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Ahern, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harville. Call the vote. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B, approval of longevity pay submissions. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Hahn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Walker. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. We'll now move into the Public Services Committee, and Chairman Richardson, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Public Services Committee to order. Any visitors wishing to address the committee, speak now. Seeing none, we'll go on with the old business. There is none. New business, item 4A, beer permit discussion. Mayor Britton.
For the last couple of weeks since the last county commission meeting, Mr. Capps and I have done our homework. As you asked us to do on beer, our beer permit regulations, and here's what we had found, and we thought this was the case when we mentioned it at the county commission meeting when we had the last beer permit request, is in the year 2000, just to give you a little history on the 2,000-foot rule, and that's what was being discussed at the beer board in October. In the year 2000, the county commission then adopted a 2,000-foot rule that prohibits issuance of beer permits to be established within 2,000 feet of a church, school, or place of public gathering. Then in 2005, the county commission basically voided the 2,000-foot rule by issuing a beer permit to Hookers and Hunters campground and market on Brights Pike, which borders the park, Cherokee Park, which is a place of public gathering. So that, in essence, voided the 2,000-foot rule. So we no longer have that. Now, and Chris, you correct me if I say anything wrong, is now to reestablish that a distance rule, you would have to go back. You could establish a distance rule to a distance that you have at another permit, the shortest distance. Let's say you had a market that had a beer permit 200 feet from a church, let's say. You could establish it at that point now, but we can't, because the park butts right on the property line of Hookers and Hunters. So we don't have any options there as far as the distance rule.
We've only got one option, and it's very unlikely. It would be that Hookers and Hunters somehow lost or gave up their permit, and we could then go forward to a distance that we could make work. But right now, we have no distance at all.
At all.
At all, because our property is, Hookers and Hunters actually has a boundary with Cherokee Park property, which we lease from TBA. Yes. So it is basically our property. Yes. So it's unfortunate, but that's what it is.
We also had conversations with Douglas Cherokee Head Start about whether the Head Start is a school or not. It is not considered a school under federal law, but it's funded through the U.S. Department of Human Services, not the Department of Education, so it's not a school. And so that question is answered that you
Not
posed.
a school.
Pardon?
It's not a school.
No, technically. No.
Mr. Mayor, I think, you talked, the city does not have any kind of distance.
They don't have, I talked to them last week, and they do not have a distance rule. The city does not have a distance rule. They did have, several years ago, a 400-foot rule. They did away with it, and they restrict their beer permits. They have an on-premise permit, an off-premise permit, an on-off-premise permit, and they restrict theirs to convenience centers or convenience stores, and they have to sell certain products, to groceries, to, let's see, convenience centers. Hold on just a minute, I've got that right here. Their off-premise permits are convenience stores, and that must sell luncheon meat, snacks, milk products, bread products, and canned goods, full-line grocery stores, and drug stores. That's off-premise. On and off-premise are microbreweries and craft beer enterprises. And then on-premise are restaurants that have a minimum seating of 40 seats, limited service restaurants, nonprofit clubs, microbreweries, craft beer enterprises, and entities that hold an ABC liquor license. And then they're limited, they've got a limit of 200 beer licenses within the city. So I guess as far as their beer permit application that's before the beer board this month is, and there's no grounds for us to deny it as far as the distance rule goes.
It's open territory now, isn't it?
Has been since 2005.
Yeah. I know at Manley, Manley's right across from the nightclub and a convenience center that sells beer. And that didn't come into play till Franklin Arena Park. Food City went in up there and wanted to sell beer. And the city did their routing. They didn't go right across the street from Food City into Franklin Arena Park. They went all the way up to the red light, crossed over, and then come down so they can get their footage.
Mr. Mayor, is there anything else we need to do other than just wait for the commission? Okay, thank you. Item 4B, approval of the 2024 regular scheduled meetings of Hamblen County Commission Committee. I guess we'll take that up as a motion to approve this. Do I have a motion? Motion by Rodney, and have a second?
Second. Oh, Ms. Ahern. Beat me to it.
Okay, Ms. Ahern. And we'll vote the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign, the motion carries. That is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson, for your report. And we will now go to Bulk Waste Study Committee. Chairman Horner, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Bulk Waste Study Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address this body may do so at this time.
I'd like to say something, Mr. Chairman. Just in a discussion with some neighbors, they were very complimentary of the way things are going. And they have noticed a difference with the bulk pickup and the so forth. And they said, well, I didn't really have anything to do with it, but I'll pass that along to Chairman Horner, and I'm sure he'll be much appreciated. So compliments to all of our commissioners. I think we made a positive impact with this one.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Linda Noe, Joe Stevens Road. I would like to ask that you somehow go ahead with the labels, or whatever you want to call them, putting them on the trash cans. That, again, to me is the most important and logical way to let everybody know. And I would suggest that you include a phone number for the garbage or for the bulk waste out at the county, so that people could call and get a schedule if they're wondering when it would be picked up. And that way they hopefully wouldn't put it out a week before the truck runs or 2 weeks before, but giving them information on how to get information. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, there's no old business. Item 4A, bulk waste policy and procedures update. Tommy McKinney.
Commission. We are seeing some positive things. I'm getting phone calls from people actually just wanting to say that they've seen a difference. Wow. And that's very, very, that helps us to push forward. I share all this information with the highway department. Anytime I get a phone call, I share that with those guys. Barry, Sharon, George, and all the guys on the trucks are very enthusiastic and seem to be wanting to do what they can to help us make sure that this works. And it is working. I have, up to date, issued 167 reports, 167 letters. 127 are in compliance. 40 that are not in compliant, 20 of those just got a letter just a few days ago from the 1st of November. 14 of those have actually called and asked for more time, and I have 3 that if they are not compliant by the 8th, that I will be asking for a court date from our county. But by all, the way it looks, it is really working really, really well. We have like, not counting the November letters, we have like 86% compliant. So it's working. It's a working process. It'll take a while, I'm sure, but we are seeing results. So I can answer any questions.
I would just add first that, you know, you take 127 stops that they're not having to make. You know, that's a couple of days' work for a truck and a person. At least. And, you know, you still get complaints about, well, they're not coming by my house. Well, there's been so much out there, you couldn't get on a schedule.
That's what we've seen. We've not been able to get on a schedule because of the quantity of the bulk waste.
And so hopefully they'll be able to get on a schedule. Go ahead, Ms. Go ahead.
Okay. The 3, you know, along with if we had a label and a phone number, it'd be nice if they knew, well, now you can call these 2 folks and they'll come and get it for a fee and avoid the whole court business. You know, I mean, there are people out there who will come and get your.
Right. That's something that we would have to set up. I mean, we've not got that far with it yet. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people out there that probably would, you know, could set things like that up, but I'd have to discuss it with Bill. I think we've got, you know, some issues as far as, I don't know if bids or, you know, who we can say or whatever, you know, we can't just throw a name out there, so I know these guys, they'll come and pick it up.
Well, I guess I was going at an entrepreneur who said, and there's a, you know, like the junk be gone. Okay, where somebody would say, I've got a pickup, and if I put this blurb in the paper, I'll come and get it for a fee. You know, I just don't want them to, a lot of people don't have a pickup and need some help getting that to, but anyway, just a thought. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just one question or two for our county attorney on this. Would us including that not be advertising for a business as the county?
Absolutely.
And if so, would we not be liable if there's damages done or issues?
We could potentially be liable if we are recommending someone.
Okay.
If we made it very clear that we were not recommending, but these are people who say they will come and pick up your
There you go.
stuff, then maybe we avoid that. There's probably a way to do it.
But that again would be my thing about representing someone, advertising for them.
No.
So if we did that, would we not have to turn around and do it for anybody that came to us? And
Ultimately, that would be the case, like our record services. I think, be on a rotation, whether we want to get into that situation or not, that's your all's call.
Does that take our liability away?
With what?
Does that take our liability away if we put them on a rotation?
I think those record services have to apply, meet certain qualifications, and then we would get into all of that as well. So, you know, if they're smart, they'll advertise themselves if that's an entrepreneurial opportunity for someone. And it sounds like it could very well be if you got a truck and a strong backer.
I think too, somebody hauled it to the road. Whoever hauled it to the road, looks like could have hauled it on.
Because there's no penalty to say, I've got this stuff that doesn't need to go up to the top of the hill.
Two things. One is, has your job gotten any easier about this? So, you know, the time consumption and so, but
There's still, I mean.
167 events is a lot.
Yes, and George, and I'm not complaining, guys. I mean, I signed on to do this, and I want to see it done, okay? So I'm not complaining. But George gave me 20 more just the other day. He was on vacation for 2 days, and they didn't send me any. So they send me have one with me, but it's just a little sheet that shows.
Check sheet.
I got 20, and then he sent me 4 more, so I got 24 more to go on. So it'll give me close to 200. But property maintenance and my zoning right now are slow, okay? The grass isn't growing. Nobody's outside wrecking their house or anything like that. So I'm thinking, and I actually feel this, that come springtime, that it will diminish quite a bit. I mean, the word's getting out there. I've actually had 2 people that do that kind of thing, junk removal, call me and ask me, what can I do? Can you tell them about me? And we're like, no, we can't do that. You know, you need to put your word out there somehow or another. So there's 2 people that pick up the trash have actually contacted our department and said, what can I do? So the word's getting out there. I mean, it really is. And like I say, I've had several people call and say thank you, you know, and all that. So it's getting out there. This is November, maybe April or May. It will slow down for me. I feel like it will. And so.
It's good to hear that you weren't disturbed by the extra amount of work.
Well, that's part of it.
The other part
I'm gonna hang on for 5 more years, and then I'm not gonna strike a lick and a fly. I'll be 65 years old. But until then, we'll make it work somehow.
Thank you for your hard work. And the other part I wanted to say was, you know, out of 167 events, we've only got 3 that's non-compliant.
Wow.
That's hard to justify a whole new program.
Right.
To, you know.
Right.
To, just for 3 people.
Well, I feel like that these 3, me and Mr. Capps will be in court with them. I just don't think they're gonna clean up. But, I mean, and of these 14 that I discussed, they've asked for extra time. Once their extra time's over with, if they're not in compliance, I'm gonna say, you've got 5 days and I'm gonna be serving you a citation. So it's working that way. So we started with our first 3 people and we're gonna kind of go from there and hope.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yes.
I just want to follow up with Commissioner Richardson. I mean, kudos.
Yeah.
Because that's 2%. 98% are doing good. So maybe 1 or 2% are not compliant. I mean, kudos to the committee that brought this together. I mean, that's just amazing. 98% of the people are doing what they're supposed to do. That's a lot of work. So, I mean, congratulations. That's good.
And there's a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of people can look and say, this bulk waste thing's been ridiculous. It's been bad. I mean, you can drive by and see where people are emptying whole houses out. You know, and the fact that the commission has finally decided to say, okay, we're tired of it. We're going to start putting regulations out there and doing something, and people are seeing it's okay. You know, you're doing something about it. So you guys can, you know, give yourself a hand on that, I feel. So.
Go ahead.
Couple of questions. Have we sent out the letters about this yet? And the stickers, have they gone out?
They're
still don't have.
They're being printed right now.
Being printed.
Yeah, we've got the placards for the yard and the stickers for the can, but they're not done.
Okay. Second part of my question. This probably might be to Horner. You're on solid waste. Would it benefit us if we kept the landfill open on Saturdays longer?
So people that work are off on Saturdays, they could go out there Saturday afternoon, not have to get there Saturday morning to get their trash out of the way?
I don't know, that's been discussed
That could go for the city and county.
That could be for both of them.
And I don't think it
wouldn't take your machinery up on top. Ain't just, every time I go out there, I've got to go back on top of that hill anyway. You go dump it. Might be a way to speed it up, get more of it out of the way.
We had a convenience center out there that you could access.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
They've got one out there. They could put 2 or 3 out there and just use them on Saturday.
Just shut everything else down and still have access to them.
Right.
That's the point.
What they do, though, they're worried about the weight.
Oh, yeah.
They're worried about the fee. It's all about the dollar. That's where it's at.
Commissioner Green?
At some point, when do you think that they'll possibly put it on the webpage where that you can look at the schedules? That would be very helpful. Because I know if I do anything for Mom or anyone, that's the first thing I look to see if there's a schedule posted. And I see the city does it, so why can we not do it?
was, we can do that. We do it, but what I'm saying is, they haven't been able to be on a schedule except for the regular garbage pickup, because there's been so much. They tried to stay 2 weeks on the east end, and then 2 weeks on the west end, but then they were 6 weeks on the east end, and before they could get to before we started all this, the bulk waste. Now they're trying to, as he said, there's 127 that's complied. That's 127 stops they don't have to make. So as we go forward, it's a work in progress to get back on the schedule for the bulk waste.
I understand that point, but where you have no idea when they're running, you don't know when the best time is to put it there so that it's not an eyesore for your neighbors.
Just to jump in on that one, see, that's the whole point of what we're doing, trying to take control of our bulk waste pickup. Once we have that under control, that is the point, to come under a schedule. We're not at that point just yet, but as we come into, the county gets educated, everybody's on the same page, we get our stickers on the can, we will be coming up with a schedule. I mean, again, we can't compel our garbage and sanitation of what their schedule is, but that's the whole idea, Ms. Green, Commissioner Green, is to be on a schedule and have everybody kind of know what we're doing. That is the end result, is where we can be more efficient and on a schedule and not have it laying in the ditches for days on end. But we're not there yet.
It would be very helpful, though, if you had some idea if something was posted.
We don't have that
so
yet.
that you could have some idea of when to expect it.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. I wanted to follow up with Commissioner Doty. I agree. I don't want to promote anybody, but I just, I guess you could just say there are people out there who will do it, because I don't want to get into that. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Thank you. Great job. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Horner. We'll move directly into Rules Review Committee. Chairman Hahn, you are recognized, sir.
I call this Rules Committee to order. Ask if anyone has anything they wish to address the committee. Do so at this time.
Linda Noe, Joe Stevens Road. As you know, I've been always very concerned about rules and following them and being fair in the rules. And what I'm most concerned about when I look at this list of 6 rules, duties, and responsibilities of the chair, they seem to pretty much, hey, the chair is the, I could say leader, I could say dictator. Because what I see in this, for example, number 2, the chair shall preserve order and decorum, decide questions of order. To me, that should have, as it has in the past, a method for appealing. For example, if a commissioner felt, well, I think that's not a good ruling, then you would have a vote by the full commission. It wouldn't just be one gavel, one person, and that's it. With number 4, 5, and 6, again, the chair will do this, the chair will do that, the chair will do this. And there's no input by commission. To me, the chair shall prepare the agenda for commission and committee meetings. That should be with input and fairness to all commissioners desiring to put items on the agenda. Number 5, the chair shall appoint leadership and memberships to all committees. That should be with input and fairness to all commissioners desiring to serve and lead on committees. And exactly the same thing with number 6, if you're forming special committees or subcommittees. Because you know, if you look through the committees as they have been appointed, there are some people who are left out, particularly some people who are left out completely from the two major committees, Finance and Public Services. And that should not be. And that's why it should be a situation, which I mentioned before, and that probably brought this up so that you could quash what I had proposed. Commissioners representing the even districts serve on Finance Committee in the years that begin in even numbers in September, and the other commissioners serve on the Public Services. And then the following year, when you're in a September of an odd year, then the commissioners representing odd districts. That's as fair as you can get, because there's no discrimination against any.
Thank you for your
commission.
comments.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, we have no old business. We'll move down to item 4, 4A, duties and responsibilities of the chairman. And you can take a minute and look at those in your packet. Excuse me. Do we have any questions about any of these?
Yes, sir, I do.
Ms. Green.
I'm not on this committee, and I'm fully aware of that. But even with Jefferson County, and I pulled up their rules of procedure after I had asked the question, they give every commissioner the opportunity to represent their citizens. They rotate 2 years. And the example is, let's say Mr. Walker's the first 2 years on finance, someone else would be the second 2 years. It gives every commissioner the opportunity to represent the citizens of Hamblen County. We're all elected commissioners. There's not one of us here that's not elected by their district. And it just gives equal standing. Now that is the first question. The second question is, how do we go about getting something on the agenda? I've tried several times and I can't even get through the door.
We would see the chairman about that.
Well, I'm asking the question. You ask for questions, I'm asking the question.
I am. I said that I gave you an answer
So who do we go to, sir?
to the chairman of the commission, Chairman
Okay.
Cutshaw.
Well, I addressed mine to the commissioner, but I could not, to the chair, but I could not seem to get anything on there.
That's
It
not
needs to be fair and above board. It does not need to be just people that will not ask a question or would not look at it.
Okay, first
It
of all,
needs- I'm sorry, could you let me finish, please, sir?
please.
I don't want to interrupt you. But in all fairness, the other county commissions that I have pulled up so far rotated. Their committees elect their representatives, which seems more fair to me. When I asked this question back when the committees were assigned initially, I was told it was tradition. Tradition is not a rule. I have a tradition in the church that we have Sundays set aside for homecoming and so forth, but that doesn't make it a rule. We need a standard that is fair and equitable to all elected commissioners, not just a few.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Mr. Cutshaw.
a couple of things. Number one, I was asked just recently to add something to agenda, and both items that she asked me are on the agenda. Not in maybe the form she asked, but they are on the agenda, just for clarification. Now, a couple of things. They talk about rotating committees. We're all elected on the same year. We could end up with 7, 8 new commissioners, just as we did last year, even and odd. Or however, you may have 7 new commissioners, hypothetically, serving on a committee, making decisions when they don't know procedure. It's not smart to do so. Therefore, I've seen this operate since I've been keeping up, that it works. It works. That's one thing. The other thing is we've always said from the very beginning of our Rules Committee that this is a fluid document. There's so many things. If anything from this chair comes about, each commissioner has the opportunity to stand, and by vote, we can overrule the chair. That's in Robert's rules. That's in Robert's rules. And we said that from the very beginning, Robert's rules is the guide that we would use unless we had a local rule to supersede that. That's how we operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr.
On
Lee
these,
Smith.
local rules for consideration, duties and responsibility of the chair, all 6 of these are for the chair?
Yes.
These will be all new rules?
No, they're not new. It's procedure. What we're trying to do, and what we were asked to do, and I personally think it's a good idea, and I think Commissioner Green was one that brought it up, was, and we talked about this before the meeting, about consolidating everything and getting something organized and printed out. And so that's what we're in the process of doing now.
Getting a list of all the rules.
We're trying to.
But these will be more or less new rules?
More or less reaffirming the rules that are there.
Thank you.
Officially.
Yeah, reaffirming. It's what we've done, and if you want to use the word tradition or whatever, that's what this sitting body does.
That's good. We need that, but I don't think we'll go through all them rules that we've got right now and pinpoint 4, 5, and 6 on it. I don't think you'll find a rule anywhere that says that.
And that may be why it's in here now, to solidify it. We're trying to bring order and eliminate chaos. So we have something substantial to fall back on.
That's what a rule book would do.
Well, it's supposed to do.
Supposed to do.
Supposed to do. Yes, Miss.
Yes, thank you. I kind of like the idea of, well, finance is, everybody needs to be able to say, you'd hate to be, I can't answer that, Mr. Constituent voter, because I'm not on that. It's not a bad idea. And Mr. Chairman, even if it did mean, because heck, here we are with 7 new ones.
Amen.
And the learning curve is like this. And, but it also brings in new ideas. Like when we hear from the public, they help us have a perspective we don't have. Maybe because maybe we're in another neighborhood, but the point is, it's not a bad idea to, for especially finance, to say, okay, this side you get it. Next year, this side you get it. So, there is learning by the seat of your pants is not all bad. So I'd like to just say that out loud, that I think it could work. And it takes away, when you appoint, well, that just sets up another dynamic. When you say, golly, it's not your turn this year, it's their turn this year, and keep the chairman on, because the chairman, she would be the one who has the experience. So I just want to point that out.
Cutshaw?
Yes, and Ms. Howe, it's understood, Commissioner Howe, it's understood. The one thing that this body has always done is give everybody a voice. You may not be on that committee, but you still have your vote when it comes to the end of the day. You still have your vote. You still have your voice. No one's taking that from you. You may not be on that particular committee, but you still have that voice. We've allowed that throughout this, as far as when I've been chair, to give everybody equal opportunity to speak up, and then you have your vote on day of commission.
Yes, sir.
That's a good point. We have 14 votes up here. We've all been elected from different districts, but I think deep down it doesn't matter what district we're from. 99% of everything that we deal with here is about Hamblen County, not a specific district. And yes, everybody here has a voice. Everybody here has a chance to speak up, to add to to disagree at any point during the time. And then, during the commission meetings, if you disagree, you vote against. It's as simple as that. Now, as far as the same people on committees, sometimes you need continuity on some of these things. You need somebody to sit there year after year, you know, this is what's going on, this is what we've been doing. So that lends a little bit of credibility and experience to the whole issue. I know when we came on, not this last term, but term before, we had 8 new commissioners come in here. And we were lost. It took a few weeks to get our bearings straight, and I would have hated to have thought that one of us at that time would have been chairman of the finance committee or chairman of the personnel committee. That could have spelled disaster for us, at least temporarily. So, you know, I know tradition isn't rules, but Hamblen County, we lead the way. This is the way we do things, and I don't think we need to be swayed by the way other counties are doing things.
If I could, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Green first, please.
Commissioner Hahn, first of all, I'd like to reiterate, when you said you had 8 new ones, you had 7 new ones this year. And I'm granting you, we had a lot to learn. But it would give us exposure to it. God forbid the next election, if we lose some of you that have been here for a while, that have provided excellent guidance. I don't, no disrespect intended, but it's better to walk people through a little at a time than drown them. And I'm sure you being a teacher, you understand that better
Very
than
much,
most folks.
yes.
So all I'm saying, and I'm not kicking anyone, I'll give Commissioner, wait a minute, Chairman Cutshaw, let me get my titles correct. He has given us more than ample opportunity to speak, and I appreciate that. I, for one, know that a lot of people don't like to do that. But it would give a chance for us to learn, should the next election, that some of the folks that have been here for a while should lose an election. And I could lose the next election, you could lose the next election. I mean, anyone could. It's just Russian roulette, to be brutally honest with you. But thank you for the opportunity to speak, sir.
You're very welcome. Commissioner Neesmith.
We're all 14 elected. The difference between, we can all vote at commission meetings. If you're not on a committee, you don't get to vote in committee.
Right.
You could change it, just like some of the things we got, like the jail study committee, the personnel committee, everybody's on those committees. You could put everybody on every committee. And you'd get to vote in committee meetings, and then you get to vote in commission meetings. That way they won't be handpicking who they want, whatever else that goes on. You could do that. You could have all 14 of us on every committee.
I do.
And how much longer would that take to add 7 more to it? Wouldn't take that long, would it? Not with this button thing we got here, if it's working, if it's working. That's why you wouldn't have, I'm not on that committee, you'd be on it. You'd be on the committee.
Yeah. Mr. Doty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just a little reasoning behind the reason why it's laid out, that you have your experienced people on your committees and such. I see David Perky back in the audience, and he is one that can attest to this. We discussed the non-compliance with our rules over the beer permit with the hookers and hunters in 2005. That 2005 commission went in, 02, I think is when they were sworn in, through that time frame. That was when there was the biggest shift of commissioners that I can recall, and I think there was either 10 or 11 new ones that went on at that point, and they passed through something that violated our ordinances because nobody knew about them. That's why you need your senior people in positions in these
committees is because they do have the knowledge. And yes, just because you are not on a committee does not mean you don't get to gain said experience by listening and being in the meetings and voting as. We're in this situation now with this beer permit because of lack of experience. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. The duties and responsibilities of the chairperson, Mr. Cutshaw. Someone care to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve these
Mr. Doty?
Second.
Say that again.
Wait a minute, I may not be on that, I'm not on that committee.
I need a second.
Second.
Mr. Richardson? All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Yes. Opposed.
You're not on the meeting.
Go ahead.
But Mr. Neesmith is.
One against.
We have one opposed. Motion passes.
Clarify that, please, that just one opposition on that vote.
Yes, one opposition.
Just make sure. Anyone else voting no on that one? Thank you.
That's all we have on that, Mr. Chairman.
That all you got? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Hahn. We will now move directly into our Calendar and Rules Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call to order the Calendar and Rules Committee. If there are any visitors wishing to address this body at this time, please step forward. Seeing none, we'll move on. With old business, we have none. With new business, we have a review of the regular calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Horner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hahn. Any discussion on this matter? Hearing none. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B, review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Hahn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Horner. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. Calendar rules. Folks, that's all we got. A couple announcements to make for you. Our commission meeting, obviously 10 days from today, November the 16th, we'll meet right here at 5 o'clock. December the 7th, Hamblen County is, it's the Christmas breakfast, December the 7th. Just put on your calendar that morning. That evening, December 7th, is the Christmas parade. If you'd like to participate, please let me know. December the 12th, put on your calendars. We will have a Christmas get-together of the commissioners. Trish and her husband and the mayor are invited. Please have that on your calendar. Hopefully that's agreeable to most, and we'll try to get together for that. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I had an interesting call I'd like to bring up that came this week, and it was about a guy who has in his yard, and he, anyway, when all these dogs came running across in his yard, and he said, I'm going to bring this up at the next meeting. And I got to thinking, you know, when you buy that house and you have that yard, this is your peace and quiet, and his was invaded. And so that means that he has to sequester his kids, the family, and say, don't go out there, not with those wild dogs out there. And the same thing with noise. Don't, you know, we would like to think that that place is our peace and quiet, and it can be, and if the sheriff is called because of the dog, let's just suppose the dog gets out there. here it is, the gray wolf got into my yard, and my yard had 2 hens and 2 little lambs that I have protected. But the dog jumped over and got them. Now this individual has been invaded, and they come out and say, okay, we'll get that red wolf. An hour later, the gray wolf comes in and gets the other lamb or the other hen. And the police or the 911 is called, they're dispatched, the police goes out, and then, okay, woo, you can't be doing that, we got that. And then here comes the tiger, and he comes. And he's being invaded, and I would like to think that after a certain amount of time, we say, good grief, you who own the gray and the red wolf and the tiger, you're going to have to keep them in your house. You can't let them be out here. And in fact, for 10 days until you get this, same thing with the noise. If we send a police officer out there 3 times and he, I don't want one $50 ticket. Why can't we say, good heavens, this is 3 times, you're going to have to cease and desist until you figure out something, because you are messing up the peace and quiet of a neighborhood. When citizens come forward with something like their wild dogs or their the kids are running across from the neighbor, or the kid next door has turned his radio on in his car at 1 o'clock in the morning, they're not here to say, we have to solve that.
Amen.
We have to solve it and not say, I hate that for you. I hate that for you. They're looking for a solution, and that's something that is going to come forward, and $50 fine or the what is it when they pick up? Yes, is not doing it.
It's not enough.
And we are not, and these are the ones who live in our community. They are just like us. They happen to be over there, and we need to we need to keep that in the forefront when they come forward. Their peace and quiet that they are paying their taxes on is being disturbed, and we have to come up with a solution. And $50 is is not getting it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All good? We'll stand adjourned.